All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this example. So we're going to be using a quadratic formula. Um, the first step is to write your equation in standard form. So I'm going to put a little note over here that standard form is going to be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and a is not equal to 0, okay? Because this does not work if a is equal to 0, all right? So I know that I do not have this in standard form because my b is right here. It's the 6, right? So I need to subtract 6x from both sides, okay? That will give me 0. And if I wrote it in standard form, I know that I have to have ax minus 6x plus 3. Okay. I have that because the 3 is the constant, which is the c. Okay. So it goes after the negative 6x. All right. So now step number 2 is wants us to identify a, b, and c. Because there's nothing in front of this x squared, that's an invisible 1. B would be negative 6 and C is 3. So A is equal to 1, B is equal to negative 6, and then C is equal to 3. It is very important that you write this down somewhere when you're solving it just to kind of keep yourself on track. All right, now step number 3 is to substitute these values into the formula. So the formula is, I'm going to write it again, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. It's very important that when you're substituting these values, if you are substituting negatives, you need to make sure you write them in parentheses. So now I have x is equal to negative b. B is already negative, so that means it's going to be a double negative. Okay, let me use a different color to substitute. So it'll be negative times negative 6, right? And then we're going to have plus or minus. Mm-mm. Okay, plus, no, or minus the square root of b squared. So b is negative 6. So negative 6 squared. All right. And then we're going to have minus 4 times a. A is going to be 1, right? So times 1 times c, which is 3. So times c, which is 3. And then I'm going to put it over 2 times a, and a is 1. All right, so all of my numbers that are the variables are substituted. All right, so now that I have substituted these variables, I need to simplify using PEMDAS. Okay, simplify using PEMDAS, order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So now I am going to go ahead and look at, I'm going to start from left to right outside of the radical symbol. This negative times this negative makes this a positive 6, right? Because negative, you could say that's a negative 1 times a negative 6 is a positive 6. Plus or minus, we are going to do parentheses with the exponents first. So negative 6 squared is positive 36. All right, minus, and then we have to do the multiplication. So negative 4 times 1 times 3 is 3. Okay. And then 2 times 1 is 2. And now I'm going to keep going up here because I'm running out of space. All right, so now we have x equals 6 plus or minus the square root of 36. And then negative 4 times 3 is negative 12 over 2. And we're going to keep solving, all right? 6 plus or minus 36 minus 12. So if you don't have a calculator, make sure you know how to do the subtraction. So 6 minus 2 is 4. and 3 minus 2, 3 minus 1 is 2, right? So then that'll leave us with the square root of 24 over 2. All right, so once you get to this place here, you can use a calculator to get your um, final answers. If you do not have a calculator, you should write your answer in the simplest radical form. All right, so this is the answer that I'm going to take to the next screen because I was running out of space. So x is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of 24 over 2. And because I am not using a calculator, I am going to find the square root of 24. So I'm going to say 24 is divided with 2 and 12, and then 2 and 6. And then for 6 is 2 times 3. All right. So I do have a pair for this for my square root, which will give me 6 plus or minus 2, right? Because the 2's come out. And then we don't have a pair, so that'd be 2 times the square root of 6 over 2. And we're going to keep going, all right? We're going to keep going because these terms here are being divided. So 6 divided by 6 divided by 2 is 3, plus or minus 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I don't need anything there, so that cancel out. And we cannot divide 2 with the radical of 6 because they're not like terms, all right? So then your answer is x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 6. And you can write it as two answers, or you should write it as two answers, where x is equal to 3 plus the square root of 6, and x is equal to 3 minus the square root of 6.